Good morning. Welcome to our English TARE group and study group. We're currently contemplating reading the book Change of Heart, and we're doing a very meticulous and thorough contemplation on how to transform an angry heart. So last week, Rinpoche was talking about the hell realms, and it's very important to understand what the hell realms are in the Buddhist philosophy. He mentions here that if you dig a hole until the center of the earth, you won't find hell. For Buddhists, hell is a state of mind. It's not a place. So when we speak about the different realms, we're really speaking about different mental experiences. If when they talk about the six realms, the hell realms, the hungry ghost realms, the animal realms, human realms, semi-gods, and God realms, there's a cause, a mental cause, to have each one of those experiences. So, for example, the cause of having a hellish experience is cultivating anger and hatred and violence. The karmic result of that, if you continually cultivate this pattern in your mind, is you'll have more and more negative experiences in your life. Even if your external circumstances aren't different than other people, because you've cultivated anger and hatred and violence, you'll perceive the world through that filter, thereby creating a hellish experience. For the hungry ghosts, the cause of having the experience of a hungry ghost is miserliness. So, for example, many times very wealthy people actually experience the hungry ghost realm, because there are many wealthy people that can't even give a little bit of charity or help their family a little bit in times of need. So for some reason, it comes to my mind that very famous case. I think he was the owner of Heineken beer, that his son was kidnapped and he refused to pay the ransom, and I think they killed the son. And he was a billionaire. So there's the cause of having that experience of there's never enough. It's always a scarceness, always a lack. That cause is miserliness in our minds. So it really doesn't matter how much we have in our bank account. If we have that point of view, that perspective on the world, that's what creates the experience of a hungry ghost. The animal realm, you can think like how many times a mother says to her son, for example, "Your room looks like a pigsty." Again, the cause for having an animal-like experience is laziness, not wanting to think, wanting to just sort of stay in a state of mind that other people tell you what to do, not taking initiative, sort of a blunted, dull state of mind. And again, an animal-like experience doesn't mean that you've taken an animal form. It means that your mind is having an animal-like experience. The human realm, the cause of having the human realm experience is desire. So we call the human realm the desire realm, because basically nonstop our mind is occupied with desires. And I don't mean necessarily desires on the gross level. Desire to change positions, desire to sit down, desire to stand up, desire to stay home, desire to travel, desire to go to the shopping, desire to eat, desire to drink. It's a non-stop cycle of one desire followed by another desire. That's the principal characteristic that creates the human realm experience. And when we talk about the semi-gods or the demigods, the principal, the basic emotion and mental state that causes that experience is envy. So usually the demigod realm is described as a realm of great abundance, but incredible envy for what others have. So a very good way to understand that kind of a realm is for example, Brasilia. If we think about the politicians, they all have such an abundance. They all are making 30, 40, 50,000 reais a month, salaries that we can't even dream of attaining, but they're in constant war with each other, trying to sabotage each other, trying to get more power, more money, more access, more influence, defeat their enemies. It's a nonstop process of envy and not trusting and trying to sabotage their opponents. And finally, the God realm. When we think about the God realm, these are the guys that are beyond Brasilia. These are the ones that are pulling the strings, the puppet masters on their yachts, in their penthouses, in their houses in Europe and Italy, Lake Como, wherever. They have an incredible abundance of merit, which manifests as wealth and beauty and possessions. And the main cause of the God realm experience is exactly this. You've created a lot of merit in the past that's now manifesting as incredible abundance, but it's mixed with kind of a pride, an arrogance. And the problem with the God realm experience is that it doesn't last forever. Inevitably, everybody wants to be rich, of course, but nobody thinks about what comes after being rich. Because at some point, because of impermanence, you won't be rich anymore. So the real wealth that doesn't go away that we need to cultivate is the wealth of feeling satisfied, cultivating satisfaction with what we have. That's true wealth, and that's what creates true peace of mind. So Rinpoche says, it's very difficult to deal with anger once it's up and running. It's like trying to stop a boulder that's rolling downhill or trying to change the direction of a ball that you've already thrown. What we need is prevention. To look carefully at how and when our anger arises and learn to develop a longer fuse. We know that this is possible because when we think about an angry episode a week later, our perspective has already changed and we can see how we could have reacted more appropriately. Prevention requires being very methodical at first. Sit in a room, close the door so that no one can interrupt you, and imagine different scenarios in which you might lose your temper. Review them in light of these teachings about the destructive nature of anger. Then, when you find yourself in actual situations that make you angry, your anger already won't last as long because of your mind training. As you become aware of how you respond to negative situations, you will learn to pull back from confrontation. Instead of exploding, saying and doing things that you will regret for years, you will be able to pause before you react. You will say, aha, here it is. This is my anger. This is what I've been working with all this time in the privacy of my bedroom. In that short interval, you can choose to respond differently. But you have to be persistent. If you practice this for only an hour or two, you can't expect to never get angry again. Anger doesn't go away just because we want it to. We've had this habit for a long, long time. It's like a sheet of paper that when you roll it up and bind it with a rubber band. If we unroll it after a few years, it will stay flat just for an instant before it rolls up again. To make it flat, we have to hold it open or even roll it backwards. So he uses this example of a piece of paper. Here it's folded. If the paper is folded this way, even if you open it up, it wants to go back to how it was. So in order to make the paper flat again, to our original state, we need to fold it in the opposite direction or roll it in the opposite direction until it goes back to its flat nature. That means we need to make it equal and opposite reaction towards addressing the causes of anger and purifying the causes of anger. Otherwise, just a couple hours compared to the thousands of hours that we've been angry in our lifetime is not going to overcome the habit and the tendency of becoming angry. When you do get angry, don't be angry with yourself. Use the anger as a springboard for contemplating equanimity and giving rise to loving kindness and compassion. Each time you do this, your fuse will become longer. Your patience will increase. At first, you might become totally lost in rage. It will come like a flash of lightning. But over time, by reminding yourself of the consequences, you can learn not to indulge every angry impulse. With practice, you will establish new habits that will help you when somebody pushes your buttons. The degree to which you can reduce your anger and give rise to compassion is the degree to which you will be able to benefit any situation. That doesn't mean you have to let someone spit on your new shoes. It means that you respond as skillfully as you can with a pure motivation and peace in your heart. I'll give you a very silly example. And I'm not trying to put myself up for any reason, but when I was a younger man, I had a car, and it became well known amongst my group of friends that there were certain things if they did in my car, I would just explode. I would go crazy. One of them was if they were sitting in the back seat and they pulled on my seat like this when I was sitting in the driver's seat, I would almost punch them. I would yell, I would scream, I'd be so angry. I'd make them get out of the car. So they started doing it on purpose because it was funny for them. But for me, I would get so angry. If anybody slammed the door too hard, I would get so angry. If anybody made it dirty, I would get so angry. So my friends thought it was really funny, and it was actually I was famous for being a hothead, getting in fights and stuff like that. So yesterday I was pulling in the driveway here in front of the house, and a car drove by, and the guy was driving like this, and he had a really cute puppy on his arm. And it was such a cute scene that I got distracted, and I closed the gate before the truck was in the driveway, and it hit the rearview mirror on the truck and looked like it broke. It actually didn't break, but it looked like it broke. So I saw that happen, and I didn't get angry. I didn't get upset. And I thought to myself, that's years of my Buddhist practice, sitting on the pillow, contemplating, meditating, praying, purifying, understanding how anger is not good for my health. It's not good for people around me. I'm not saying I never get angry, but it was one of those moments in life, like a small victory. Like, wow, it really works. All these years of mind training, something has changed. Because when I was a 20-year-old, 18-year-old man, that would have been a crisis. Yesterday, nothing. So, if we do the mind training and we do practice and we do contemplate, those things will change. But if we don't, you can be sure they won't change. Okay, let's go to our TARE practice. starting with the 7-line prayer.